moving in different directions. He was finally old enough to sit in the front seat, and he spent every trip straining at the seatbelt to stare out the windshield. I twisted my head skyward, too. It was a weird weather day. The air stagnant and thick on the ground, but way up in the clouds, the wind was racing, and, well, he was right. It was something meteorological, something to do with air pressure and the jet stream. I don't know it all, but he was that sort of kid. You tell him the truth, and he'll spend the rest of the day answering questions, driving the library to check out stacks of books, going online at home and helping him navigate Wikipedia. So I said, "Oh, honey, those aren't clouds. They're ships with a God sail around it." He gazed at me, his eyes huge. "Like the sailboats out on the big lake? Like sailboats and motorboats and everything. Like pirates? Like pirates." According to a 2003 Family Pediatrics report, within family structures, the loss of one person in a group of two is often considered the destruction of a relationship and allowance for psychological surrender. However, for those military families struggling with the deployment of a parent, this loss and subsequent ruin is rarely an option, as they continue to fight their own battle on the home front. Instead, these emotional separations are viewed not as the inevitable loss of a loved one, but rather as an opportunity to rely upon and strengthen the bond with those still left behind. Like my captain, Samuel Snow Brown. My son can't sleep during thunderstorms. Rain he loves, but the lightning and thunder terrify him. After I told him about the God ships, we had a dry storm. Sheet lightning sparking across the horizon and thick blue bolts darting for long seconds. Usually, my son cowers during these sorts of storms, but this time he knelt to the window. "Mom," he said, "why are the God ships fighting?" I stared at him, clueless. I had completely forgotten what we were talking about. But he beat me to it. "It's all right, Mom. I can handle it." It's what he said when his father was away. I stared out the dark window and knelt beside him. "Honey, I don't know why the God ships are fighting." "Nobody does. It's been going on for a long time." He drew pictures of the God ships, began making a book explaining how everything works. His teacher sent home notes praising his creativity, but she also sent home notes saying she was concerned by the amount of violence he was describing. "I know his father's overseas," she wrote one time, "but perhaps there are happier subjects the two of you could explore together at home." I told him to keep trying. He never drew the God captains. He only drew their ships. Once I asked him why. He said, "From underneath, all the God ships look the same. Have you ever seen a God captain?" I told him I hadn't, but he would keep an eye out for one. For a while, the sky was clear. Sometimes my son would say he missed the God ships, but other times he would simply smile and tell me he was glad they'd stopped fighting. And we had a dry storm. My son sat with me on the front porch. I drank coffee and I gave him hot cocoa. He said, "Mom, if I went out and got wet, would the gods be sorry about that? It's like I'm not in their war, but all this rain, it's like their blood. So if I went out and got wet, it would be like they got their blood on me. Would the gods be sorry about that?" started to cry. I took his cocoa and I set it next to my coffee on the porch step, and I crushed him to me. What had I done? It's all right, Mom, he said. I don't think they mean it. I don't think they even know we're down here. One day, several weeks later, the fog was in and we went for a walk. When we came upon the man lying on the park bench, his tattered pants and his stained army jacket. My son pointed and whispered, "Mom, look, it's one of them." That must be the guy, Captain. "Oh, honey," I said that he had already pulled free of my hand and was running over the bench. I dove after him. But he wasn't that far from me, and I could still see and hear my son. The man sat up, looked at him and smiled, kept his hand to himself. He looked at my son looked at him and back at me. "I'm sorry you fell down," he said. "I'm sorry this happened to you." "Son, so am I," the homeless man said. I was already by my son's side. "I'm so sorry he's bothering you." "Don't bother," the guy captain said. "But now that you're here, maybe you could spare $1. "I'm so sorry. I don't have my purse." The man nodded. But then my son was digging in his front pocket. "I have my allowance money," he said, and before I could stop him, he was handing a crumpled dollar bill to the man. The man looked at me, and I sighed and nodded. "God bless you, son." "You're welcome, Captain." Then the man chuckled. "I ain't a captain, son," he said. "I am a full-blown admiral." My son said, "Wow," but I was already pulling him away. He said, "Mom, why would a God admiral need $1?" He looked up at me, waiting for me to explain it all. So I said, "Once a captain, or an admiral, goes down with his ship, he's free from the war, but he's trapped here on the ground. If he gets enough money, he can buy his own boat and sail away up in the sky. Escape the war forever. Like into space? Like in the Milky Way, honey. Like into the stars."